Black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my uncomfortable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I've not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody. Wow. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. For it matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments and scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I can't promise you're going to have church tonight, Bishop. I don't have it in me like you do. We're not going to take a script, but we're going to talk about a new captain in our community. An opportunity for a new captain in our community.
All right.
Intentional preaching, generation to generation. Thank you for having me this evening as a speaker. Listen, I would have been honored just to be sitting in the audience, but for you all to honor me with speaking, I'm sincerely humbled.
Amen.
My parents, Charles and Cynthia Chestnut. I see my Aunt Barbara here. I see Godfather Larry Saunders in the back. Thank you. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Yes.
Amen.
I tell you this, they offered me every opportunity to succeed and no excuses to fail.
Amen.
All right. Amen.
To the bishop, things you probably did not know. Bishop, I've been going on funerals since I was 3 years old. My dad was just not funeral, right? I had seen thousands of eulogies and sermons. And I will never forget it. Bishop, I was about 11 years old. And I went with my mom to a funeral in Tallahassee at Bethel. And I saw this man of great stature. Very tall. He looked like a drum major. And he delivered this eulogy with such poise and eloquence, yet it wasn't monotonous. I was like, man, I was taking mental notes. And even today, Bishop, I can reflect back on your delivery, your posture, your formation, and use it in my speeches and closing arguments and juries. I hadn't got me that $10 billion Willie Gary verdict yet. I'm working on it. But I offer that to say this, Bishop. You never know who you influence and when. And I'm honored to stand here before you. Frankly, a little nervous because you're the master now up here standing before your congregation. But,
Amen.
But thank you. And thank you to the AME Church. Well, I want to talk to you all today about truth. Because in our community, there are a lot of things we can talk about. There's some issues in our community. I mean, we can talk about Trayvon Martin,
Amen.
gunned down in Orlando, no weapon in his hand. We can talk about Jonathan Farrell, shot 10 times by the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, unarmed, just walking through a neighborhood. We can talk about Lamar Jack Robeson, shot 10 times way across Georgia in his living room, in front of his mom, unarmed. But tonight I want to talk about the gap in our community.
All right.
A deep chasm between the generations. You know, it's funny, I look at the truth and the lack thereof. You know, sometimes I watch the news and I look on the news and I see some of our conservative brothers and sisters and they're complaining about less government, lower taxes. And we are lulling our future into a welfare nation. And then I pause to think. I said, these same folks who are here Capitol Hill, asking for lower wages, asking for lower taxes, are the same folks whose siblings and spouses own these multinational corporations that are subcontracted out to third world countries,
Amen.
The industrial jobs that used to keep the middle class employed.
That's right.
And then all they leave here are service jobs that pay wages so low, they're not livable. And so the irony of it is the same folks who are saying we need less government are causing us more government because their brother who owns the company that they outsource the jobs to, the 10 jobs they left in America pay such low wages, it forces you onto the welfare that they're complaining about. Right. Now, why do I offer that? Because we in our community have to pay attention to the truth as well.
Amen. Yeah.
Amen.
I know you're frustrated.
Damn.
You're embarrassed. You're upset, discouraged. You sit back sometimes, I know you do, and you think about the marches, the water hoses, the dogs, the passed over promotions, the folks, the rookie that you trained on the job, and they passed over you.
Right.
Put the rookie as your supervisor, and he still asks you what to do.
Amen.
The folks in school who copy your work, turn in your report, so unqualified they didn't even take your name off the bottom to show there wasn't plagiarism, and they still got a promotion. And you attribute this, and the one single strand you had to hold on was hope.
All right.
Hope that the sacrifices you were going through, what you were going through, if you just held on, that your children will be a little farther ahead.
Amen.
That their load will be a little lighter, their future a little brighter. Only to today drive down Fifth Avenue and see Future with his pants off his behind, boxers showing, 12 o'clock in the day, no shirt on. Seeing Paul, who now calls himself Pookie, with dreadlocks in his hand and doesn't even understand the core principles of Rastafarianism because he lacks the discipline that Rastafarian exudes as he's standing on the corner eating a barbecue sandwich and holding a cord.
All right.
You've got to be discouraged. I'm discouraged and upset. But sometimes you can't subscribe to the book because of its title. Our hope isn't lost in our community.
Amen.
We just need new leadership.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
We need the church to take back
All right.
what it once had.
Amen. We're here.
You know, all of this sacrifice and inequity, kind of funny. I think about GPS. You know, sometimes you put the right address and it still take you to the wrong place.
Amen.
That's what's happening to the youth. We got this newfound GPS with the wrong coordinates.
All right.
The right destination, the wrong address. We're
All right.
trying to get there, but we can't. And we need leadership, we need guidance, we need a captain in our community.
All right. All right.
The AME Church has the opportunity to be that. The youth are the same youth we raised. We're resilient. We're courageous. We're ambitious. We just lost a little of the way. We got the wrong coordinates in the GPS. So let's talk about coordinates. I was in Israel late last year, and there was a group of us, and we were in Tel Aviv, and we were meeting with the head of government of the state of Israel, a group of African-American leaders from the South, and they took us all to Israel to teach us about the Israeli conflict, et cetera, et cetera. And so we're sitting in this room with an Israeli general, and I raised my hand, and I asked the general, I said, General, we look at Israel. Between 1948 and today, Israel has top 5 strongest armies in the country, in the universe, in the world. 10th wealthiest country in the world, even though it's a small, constricted land. And 1/10 of all millionaires live there. 10% of the people there are millionaires. I said, General, you know, African Americans in America post Reconstruction, 1776, we haven't been able to accomplish what you have in such a short period of time. What do you attribute that to? And the general paused. And it wasn't a pause of him seeking the answer. I think it was a pause of, can I really say what may be politically incorrect at a table for the African Americans? I think he finally concluded that although we were a majority in the room, his military outnumbered us in the country. And so he answered, he said, young man, the problem with black folks in America, the distinction, the difference is your community has no order.
Amen. Amen.
He said your community has no order. Because you have no order, you don't have a seat at the table. And we all know what happens when you don't have a seat on the table. You're on the menu.
Amen. Amen.
So let's just briefly go back and think about what took us to where we are. What did disable us? Statistics show that African Americans were on a steady rise in empowered influence. Infantile birth rates were rising until the 1980s, when the advent of crack cocaine. It completely devastated the African American community.
Yes.
And so now when you look at the statistics, we're now more African American are trending towards prison than college, even though prior to the 80s, they were trending towards college than prison.
Yeah.
We can attribute this to one major source, crack cocaine. The reason I offer this is because our oppression is not a coincidence. Crack cocaine is no less a coincidence than Jim Crow was post-Reconstruction.
Amen.
It was intentional.
Yes.
Amen.
And so we must be intentional and deliberate about reclaiming our community.
Amen. We're here.
And I started thinking about that. I said, what we need is a Richard Allen moment.
Amen.
I started thinking about and reading on the history of the AME Church of Richard Allen. I said, my mother always tells me about what my grandmother, Janie Bell Moore, would say. She said, you got to know the rules of the game. Learn the rules of the game.
Yes. Then you
Then
can
play
play.
to win.
There you go.
Which is exactly what Richard Allen did. He learned the rules of the game and then determined these rules ain't working for my community.
Yeah.
And so then he started his own.
Right.
Now what's key about this is the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Not the Negro Methodist, not the Black Methodist, the colloquial terms of that time, the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Not only is that courageous, that is insightful.
Yeah.
Clearly, Mr. Allen knew that it all began in Africa.
Right.
That chemistry, geometry, astrology, all came from Africa. The problem in our community is, ladies and gentlemen, Pookie don't know that. That's right.
Preach.
All right.
Pookie don't know that the geometrical principles that were used in Egypt to build the pyramids that have still yet to be replicated
Make it plain.
were African.
Say it. Say it.
His people. His people. Why do I offer that? So when the teacher comes to you and tells you your grandson needs riddling, you tell him he needs truth.
There you go. Amen.
Because children aren't stupid. You can't tell me on Tuesday to discover means to be the first to arrive, to get there first, to see what has never been seen before. Wednesday, you tell me there are brown people from the country of India. India, the people are brown. India's on this side of the globe. On Thursday, you tell me Christopher Columbus, great discoverer, comes to this newfound land. On Friday, you teach me that when he gets to the land, he finds brown people. He misnames the brown people Indian because he's on this side of the world, thinks he's on that side of the world. Then you tell me Monday's a holiday in his name?
Say it. Say it, preacher.
Your child ain't distracted because he's stupid.
Yeah.
He's wondering if the teacher's stupid. So before we begin to question our children, before we accept the prescriptions that dumb down the minds of our children, perhaps we need to reevaluate the curriculum.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can offer the truth in our community.
Amen.
Perhaps the AME Church can have libraries of Black history.
Yeah.
So that we can say, listen, this day game for now, we're going to play by these rules. But you come hear the truth. Because before you can ever excel, you've got to know who you are.
Yeah.
We're better to learn who you are than home.
Yeah.
And home should always be the church.
Yeah.
Now, what makes the AME Church so distinct from other churches? Because you all have order.
Yes. Yes.
Think about it. Infrastructure, history, tradition. You have order. There's an order way business is done.
Yeah.
The man in Israel told me, the community does not have power because you lack order. We have got to begin to support each other especially the churches that have order. The advent of non-denominational churches and everything springing up and everybody get mad with the preachers and open a storefront. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to be done to talk amongst each other. To work amongst each other. Because unless we have collective power, we have no power.
Amen.
I was studying, reading a study on children. And it was a study on children in Baltimore, Maryland. And it studied African-American children attracted from preschool, and then wealthy children from the suburbs attracted from preschool to 12th grade. And the study in the first grade showed that reading and math levels were equal. That was in kindergarten. In first grade, actually, the African-Americans who were from the inner city were trending higher. Their statistics on testing, standardized testing, were higher than the white kids from the suburbs. By second grade, it fell off. Third grade, it fell off even farther. Fifth, sixth, by high school, the gap was just wide. What was the common denominator in the gap? It was that the inner city children did not do anything intellectually stimulating in the summer.
All right.
Wow. The kids in the suburbs studied through the summer. They read through the summer. Their parents read to them through the summer. They went to the museum. They had culturally enriching experiences. And so their brain was being triggered all summer. Meanwhile, the inner city kids were just chilling. Unfortunately, a lot of them was probably chilling with Pookie. But every year, the other kids are advancing more and more and more, and the inner city kids becoming marginalized. Why do I offer that? Again, in the summer, we can come home to the community, to the church, to the AME church, where you can learn African American history, you can learn math, science. The church can get grants for computers. Digital divide is killing us, folks. The digital divide is only going to get worse. Florida is now demanding by 2016 that they're going to have basically iPods and iPads in the classroom. Can't afford iPads. The church can. These are opportunities for economic empowerment. These are opportunities for the church to seize back the community. What studies have shown is that people who favor that youth began to look up to drug dealers because that is who they see making an economic and immediate impact in their community. They just need to see the preacher.
All right.
But we've got to go outreach. These young men are hungry for leadership. These young women are hungry for leadership. They just got to be welcome to it.
Amen.
That's right. Amen. All right.
You know, many youth perceive Christian principles as the antithesis to economic empowerment. We'll talk a bit about economic empowerment, which is unfortunate, because the Bible does speak against greed, but it sure don't talk against excellence. And so it's all about framing this for the youth, ministering generation to generation intentionally. What is resonating with you? You got to tell them the truth.
That's right.
I'll give you some nuggets of truth. So, yeah, they sit down on TV and they watch BET, which you shouldn't let them do, all day, every day. They're watching these videos with these rappers, making it rain. Rule number one, I always tell you, anybody who's making as much money as these rappers claim to be making, don't carry cash.
Okay.
Who you know that carries $1 million cash in their pocket, but you're a millionaire throwing it up in the air on a video? Here's the reality. There are levels to drug dealing. This average foothold, this is a 2009 study showed that, first of all, the riskiest business you could ever be in is drug dealing. The riskiest business in America is timber cutting. Folks who cut the tree, you have a 1 in 200 chance of being killed on the job being a tree cutter. Trust me, I know I'm in wrong for that.
Amen.
You have a 1 in 4 chance of being killed standing on the street trying to sell it in an urban city. Now, the average drug dealer on the corner selling dope makes $3.55 an hour.
That's it.
$3, that you make more at McDonald's. I'm being honest.
Amen.
By the time you sell your product, pay for the re-up, pay all the people you got to pay to occupy that real estate, basically pay your rent, you average down to $3.55 an hour. Let's say you graduate from the street corner to the manager of the block. You made $7 an hour.
Okay.
Only 2.2% of drug users in an organization ever break the threshold of $500,000, and 60% of those are in federal prison when they get to that point. These are the statistics your youth need to know.
All right.
They gotta know the truth.
Yes.
There's a reason the dope boy is parking his Chevy at his mama's house.
Yes. Yes.
$3.55 an hour, ain't paying no rent.
Okay.
And as unfortunate as it is, that's the truth you got to tell them. Because then it can refocus them to hear the truth, to hear the word, to hear the gospel, to see real leaders. Real men who can teach them how to shine their shoes, iron their shirt, come to church as an excuse to wear a suit. Ladies, learning etiquette and virtue. That you don't need a dope boy to justify and validate you.
Amen. Amen. Say it. Say it.
There are opportunities in the church that we are just missing. It takes 10,000 hours of practice at your moment of opportunity to be great at anything. Venus, Serena, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. 10,000 hours of practice. So that when they met their point of opportunity, at that breakthrough moment, they had 10,000 hours of practice. This is scientifically shown. To be great at anything. Why is that valid for us? Because, you know, the church offers so many opportunities for practice. Youth Day and Easter programs. One statistic I learned, I was the national chair of the Black Law Students Association when I was in law school. And it was a statistical fact that African-American law students were generally better at trial practice than us. Why? Because we grew up in the church.
Amen.
We saw preachers preaching. We participated in the Easter Day program. We read the announcements on Sunday. We learned how to gain a rapport in front of a crowd in the community.
Yes.
But it's not relegated there. You got the usher board. You got board of trustees, the financial committee. You want to teach youth how to run a business? Put them on the finance committee at the church.
Yes. Yes.
By the time they become an adult, they're 10,000 hours of practice. It's the experience that teaches them. You don't have to be an accountant since the age of 3.
Amen.
You just need exposure.
Yes.
Bishop, if they're on the finance committee long enough, they're going to make it good enough. They'll be a great tither too.
Okay.
These are things that we have to teach our children. And sometimes I'm reminded of things, lessons you learn when you don't learn them directly. Things you just reflect back on. It's funny, you know, I grew up, and as some of you may know, my father runs a funeral home. You may not. But growing up, there were 1,000 things. I had to listen to 1,000 Charles Chestnut things I would not do when I run the business.
Okay.
Now that I'm running my own business, I do about 999 of those 1,000 things I said I'd never do.
All right. That's what it takes.
Sometimes when you grow in life, you learn through experience. But the only way you learn is through experience. Here's the value of experience. Because I watched a businessman growing up, I was able to learn vicariously through him.
Amen.
So the decisions he made, he didn't inform me, I just observed.
Right.
And now I learned how to make those decisions. So when I'm suggesting you be exposed to the finance board, the usher board, the trustee board, because we need to learn business management early on.
Yeah.
Why is it imperative? Why do we need a Richard Allen moment right now? There are cycles of opportunity. Here is something you may not know. The second component to the 10,000 hours of practice at your moment of opportunity is at times you can predict when the moment of opportunity will come. There are three major periods, remember. So one was the Industrial Revolution. Now, the people who capitalized the most off the Industrial Revolution, J.P. Morgan, Andrew Carnegie, Rockefeller. Rockefeller was born in 1839, Carnegie was born in 1835, and J.P. Morgan was born in 1837. The Tech Revolution, Bill Gates, Microsoft, Steve Jobs, Apple. Bill Gates was born in 1955, Steve Jobs was born in 1955. The Tech Revolution occurred around 1975, the Industrial Revolution, about 20, 25 years after 1839. What is my point? we are about to experience the third revolution. It is the transition of baby boomers out of the workforce.
Yeah.
What I'm suggesting to you is that there was a window of opportunity that J.P. Morgan, Carnegie, and Rockefeller seized, just as Bill Gates and Steve Jobs did, and it was because of their age. What I'm suggesting to you is within the next 10 years, probably 45 to 55% of the workforce will transition out in the baby boom generation. We have an opportunity right now to take this youth and if trained the right way to seize the helm of this country.
Yeah.
I know it sounds far-fetched.
No, it ain't.
But it also sounds far-fetched when Senator Barack Obama said he was running for president.
Hey, that did. Here, here.
You know, one of the things that we have to address in our community is leveraging power. One of the things that you respect is power. One of the things that the third component to what the general told me is that we operate in concentrated power, meaning the Jewish community. We as African Americans fail to do that. And so my last suggestion to you all as an AME Church, as a collective, is that just as you claim your Christianity, you've got to profess your power. Because power sees nothing. You know, it's funny, we advertise a lot. That's been very successful for us. And oftentimes, I've got two examples. Representatives will come and try and get me to buy TV ads and billboards. And I was always busy. I said, I'm just busy, I can't take the appointment. But I bet if you send someone in here who looks like me, I can squeeze them in.
Amen. Yes, sir.
I was banking with a banker. And I'll never forget, my mother was working with the AKAs and the foundation. And yes, Deltas, I know the AKAs, community service too. She was working with the foundation, and she went to the bank that I'm banking with and says, yes, we'd like a contribution. The banker said, I'm sorry, we've exhausted our budget. She told me that. I said, okay, wow, I regret it. I'm sorry to hear that. So I called the banker. I said, sir, we've got two options to solve this dilemma. Luckily, there's certainly a solution. One is, you can hand deliver a check to my mother on 5 o'clock Thursday.
Amen.
Or you can hand deliver a check to me, cashier's check.
Yes, sir.
About 5 o'clock Thursday for the balance of every account I have with your bank.
That's what I'm talking
The choice is
about.
yours. I'll expect the answer Thursday.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That bank now supports the AKAs for the last 3 years.
My Lord. Yes, sir.
I offer that because there are opportunities for the AME Church to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Mr. Banker, you like our deposits that we make every Sunday? I sure appreciate you coming in to educate my congregation on financial principles, on planning. In fact, why don't you hand out applications for credit while you're here? Because we prefer a preferred rate. I want to make our deposits somewhere else.
Yeah.
Mr. Governor.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of the church, you running, you want re-election? We do too. What we need to see is your agenda.
Yeah.
Can we see felon disenfranchisement at the top of your political agenda if or when you're elected? Because that's the gateway into our church. But only, Mr. Governor, if you can't commit to that, not only are you not welcome in my church, you're not welcome in any other AME churches across the state of Florida.
Here, here.
Until you leverage the power, it sees nothing. We've got to begin to take back our community, and we've got to begin to show the youth that we're doing.
Yeah.
The problem is, the only folks who are showing leadership are the Jay-Z's, and the Tupacs, and the T.I.'s. But if the youth see the ministerial alliance, see the AME Church taking back the community, offering resources, demanding accountability, then they too will begin to see the value in church, and join, and follow, and reclaim the statistical advantages of uptrending that we once had before crack cocaine.
Amen.
I have but only 1 minute. Just 60 seconds. And forced to fund me. I can't refuse it. Didn't seek it. And I didn't choose it. just one tiny little minute. But eternity lies in it. Thank you.